Funny, I was like looking around, like, what's that sound?
Sorry. My pager wasn't working and all of a sudden it is now. Hey, Mayor Campbell, we are ready.
All right, sounds good. Second here. All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Seldovia City Council. This is Monday, May 11th, 2026. Time is 6:04 p.m. And we'll go ahead and call roll call. Langbart. You there, Meg?
Yep, sorry, here.
Okay. Coleman.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Peyton.
Here.
Barber.
Here.
And Keithley.
Here.
Okay, we have everyone in attendance, 6 for 6 tonight with no absences. And if you'll go ahead and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. As we said, no excused absences tonight, and that'll take us down to item D, agenda approval. We'll look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have we have a motion by Langbart to approve tonight's agenda with a second by Coleman. Any further discussion on the motion before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
and Keithley.
Aye.
All right, motion to approve tonight's agenda is passed with 6 in the affirmative, 0 opposed. That will take us to tonight's consent agenda, and it's a little lengthy. So bear with me here. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and 1 vote. A council member may request to remove an item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Go ahead and start off with item 1, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, April 13th, 2026. Ordinance introduction, we have 2. First one's ordinance 26-14A, non-code ordinance to the city of Seldovia, Alaska, accepting FY 2027 fee schedule, Appendix A of the fiscal year 2027 budget. Recommended public hearing on May 26th, 2026. Item 2B, ordinance 26-14B, a non-code ordinance to the city of Seldovia, Alaska, appropriating funds, Appendix B, annual budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027. This will also have a recommended public hearing on May 26th of 2026. Item 3, resolutions. First one's resolution 26-22, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, approving a lease with Kohl's Vending for a 1-year term at a monthly base rent of $355.25 for Seldovia Gateway Kiosk, located on Lot 6, Block 10, Waterfront Resub Number 1, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. Resolution under item 3B, resolution 26-23, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, appropriating FY 27 community assistance funds. Item 3C, Resolution 26-24, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, adopting a cash flow management plan. Item 3D, Resolution 26-25, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, establishing the City of Seldovia property tax mill rate at 7.5 mils for fiscal year 2027. Just a note that is unchanged. And the last item is item under 4A. This is an action memorandum 26-02. City Council Statement of Non-Objection for the renewal of restaurant eating place license seasonal number 6039 for Jack and Ava's Restaurant. All right, as I said, there's quite a few items on there. Does any member wish to remove any item at this time for separate discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I may, can I just give a couple notes?
sure.
And absolutely, if anybody wants to remove them, please let us know. But I know that that's a lot, and we did put it on consent agenda because most of these items have already been discussed and or relate to the budget. But just a couple of, in case there are some general questions out there. The Kohl's vending lease is with a 1.5 CPI increase. The resolution for the community assistance funds is appropriating those funds as a revenue replacement, as stated in the budget, and that will go towards insurance and audit fees. Resolution 2624, the cash flow management plan, as discussed at the previous work session, with a $1.2 million target level. And resolution 2625, as Mr. Mayor said, is a consistent mill rate since FY17. So no changes to that. But just figured I would at least point those out in case anybody would have any questions about that. Even though I know this isn't a time for discussion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Heidi. All right, last chance. Any member wish to remove any of these items, given that information? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Langvart to approve tonight's consent agenda with a second by Coleman. Any further discussion before we vote on the motion to approve tonight's consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor, Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
and Keithley.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. That was the approval of the consent agenda for this evening. Let's see, that'll take us down to item F, mayoral proclamations, none. Item G, public presentation prior notice, and we do have speaker signed up tonight, Lauren Sutton with the KB NER, and this is in regards to the juvenile salmon habitat research project. Hi, Lauren, can you hear us?
I can, yeah. Can you hear and see me?
We can do both now.
Great, great. Okay, good. Well, thanks for having me here. I just wanted to share a little bit about what the Research Reserve, or one of the projects that we have going on. That's a 3-year project. I think I can share my screen if that's okay. I sent Liz the PowerPoint on Friday, so hopefully you all have that in front of you too.
And that should be in page 152 of your packet.
Thanks. But yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, what I was hoping to do was just share some of our exciting research that's happening. Yeah, this summer. So the project name is very long. It's Juvenile Salmon Habitat Assessments of Lower Cook Inlet along 3 distinct estuarine gradients. I'll just say that we're looking at baby salmon habitat in Anchor Point, Seldovia, and Nanwalek. And we were funded through the Alaska Sustainable Salmon Fund, which is uh, a state grant. Actually, it's funneled through the feds, but it's a state grant. There's a whole bunch of people on this project, and it goes over 3 years. So what I wanted to do is just share what we're thinking right now, invite any feedback or suggestions or anything like that, and provide a general timeline of what we were hoping to do and the reasons why. And yeah, and I just thought that maybe presenting at the city council would be a good way to spread the word. So this grant is funded for subsistence use fisheries, but the point of the slide is just to say that each different location that we're looking at, juvenile or baby salmon habitat, each has its own kind of ecosystem services and reasons why it's important to salmon. But this proposal, and it's pretty big. It came out of discussions with Fish and Game interns that we have in Nanwalek with working with Ingrid Harold, thinking about the Fish Creek Dam removal in Seldovia, and then also talking, mostly with Heidi, thinking about water conservation and wetlands and things like that, and NSVT. So it was written to be responsive to community needs, with inputs from these different communities, realizing that each estuary that we're looking at for baby salmon habitat is pretty unique, and each community has its own needs. So we wanted to look at estuaries, particularly places that we think there's eelgrass, and that provides either nursery habitat or a refugia for baby salmon. And so, again, each of the estuaries has its own flavor and its own reason to be looking at this. But what we wanted to do was to study these different areas year round, thinking about how do these areas change over season, and then how do they change within a 3-year period. What we wanted to do was a little different each of these locations. So specifically in Seldovia, the Seldovia Slough appears to be a really good spot for baby salmon to hang out. So we proposed that we would look into why. And then if there were any restoration or feasibility or maintenance that we could then provide feedback on, then that might, get to you all, the city council or city manager or whoever, to say, hey, this is what we know now about the slough. What else would you like to know? This is our take on why this is such a good habitat. So we're taking this from kind of a 4-pronged approach, thinking about habitat suitability. So like why, like what physical drivers of this area make a good salmon habitat, whether that's eelgrass or flow or sediment grain size, stuff like that. What prey is available. So thinking about stuff that's in the water, like plankton or critters that are on the benthos, so on the seafloor. And then thinking about this from, how can we continue to engage, different communities and get feedback throughout the project. And then finally, we're hoping to make each of these estuaries we plan to create a tool that could then be transferred to other places in Alaska. And please interrupt me at any point. Just going to quickly, so we're looking at Anchor Point, but what I wanted to focus on was what we were hoping to do in Seldovia. So as you all know, all 5 Pacific salmon populations are supported. This grant is really focused on cohos and kings, mostly because it's funded through Fish and Game. But that's not to say that, the other salmon species aren't important. One thing I'm hoping to glean from this project is kind of that, what's the competition for, for species that aren't necessarily stocked in the lagoon. So our objectives are really to look at create a site profiles at each of these estuaries. So what makes this a good salmon habitat? Look at prey availability, work with communities, and then provide tools to expand in the future. But you'll see us in the slough quite often. So what we're planning to do to look at that salmon habitat is pulsing for juvenile salmon, but make sure that we're not pulsating, like when the Chinooks are stocked and stuff like that. So we've been working pretty closely with Fish and Game to make sure that we're not going to negatively affect any salmon populations. And so the goal there is that we would pulsing in a few different areas in the slough at the mouth up into the head near the airport. And then what we do is we catch fish, identify the whole community, measure them, and then release them. So the goal is to not kill any fish. So just if you see us out there, we're really trying not to kill any fish. We're hoping to map and track submerged aquatic vegetation, so things like kelp and eelgrass, because that does change from year to year. So we'll be doing that once a year. We'd like to look at sediment, thinking really about the influence of sediment buildup or sediment movement, especially in like since we know that there's work going on with Fish Creek Dam. So that dam removal will probably have an impact with sediment load, and it would be very cool to know the pre and post implications of that. And then we have things like tracking water quality. So, and when I say water quality, I'm talking about like temperature and salinity, um, dissolved oxygen, stuff like that. So we should have a pretty good map of the slough for those different parameters, as well as a depth profile of that. So we think that will tell us quite a bit. And then we're hoping to look at emergent vegetation. So that's stuff like the vegetation along the slough bank and kind of how far back that goes. That tells you a little bit about a buffer and like who's using that buffer. So you'll see us out. We're planning to do a lot of this kind of every other week, or planning to net fish once a month. We put out some flyers to say that, just like, hey, we'll be here. Please come say hello. But we'll try to identify ourselves with Research Reserve, stuff. But we just thought the more that people know, for one, that we can get, input on what's important, but also that we're in, I realize that this is in a lot of people's front yard. The slough is a really important spot. We're also trying to look at prey availability. So again, thinking about like what lives in the seafloor, the sediment, what lives within the eelgrass or other kelp, and then also thinking about plankton. So what's floating in the water, whether that's phytoplankton or zooplankton. So little animals floating in the water, because we know that salmon are, especially Chinooks, are munching on that in the slough, or at least we think, we assume. And then all this will be publicly available kind of as quick as we can get it, really. And then we're hoping to find different ways to share this information, even if it's not, like the final thing. But it would be great to have input on when is a good time to share what we found over the summer. So that's kind of what this is saying. It'd be great to get feedback. This first year is definitely a pilot year. But what I'd like to do is share what we found. And I would really like input on that from you all, if that was okay. And the other thing we're doing is providing, we're working with a Semester by the Bay program, which you all may or may not be familiar with. It's a program run by Debbie Tobin here in Homer at the Ketchimack Bay campus. So we'll have a couple interns each semester of this project. So we'll have lots of students helping us with lots of field work. And then we've also been chatting with Wendy over at SVT for how to bring in some of the kids that are involved in their school and summer things. And finally, that kind of the goal of this is definitely to have tools to say this type of estuary produces, like this is this whole site profile. So this is what the sediment grain size looks like. This is who's there. This is when they're there. Thinking about different critters. This is the competition we see with different salmon. And then the next step would be, how do we apply this to different parts in Alaska? We're particularly thinking about Kodiak and kind of West Cook Inlet for this objective, but that's kind of the overarching goal here. So this is so year one, we're really trying to get as much done as we can. It's definitely a first year. I'm sure there'll be ups and downs and what will go right and wrong. And then year 2 and 3 will adjust and probably hit it a bit harder for our field work. So yeah, and then year 3 will finish the report, and hopefully it'll lead to different questions. So I'm pretty excited about this because I think in Seldovia in particular, I think I'm hoping what we'll learn is just information for folks to make decisions on how to maintain a healthy habitat. Because right now it sure seems like it's a good spot for juvenile salmon. And then also that we're really well set up to learn pre and post dam removal activity, but there are lots of other questions that I could see come out of this, such as like, I don't know, is there a better time to like plow the airport, for example, or, the type sort of different thing. And I think you only get that if you have a pretty focused study on who's in the slough and when and why. So yeah, that's all I have, but I just wanted to share what we were doing and take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. I have a question. Have you guys already started, or you plan on, when you say spring, is May the time, or I know it's been awfully cold here for
I know.
springtime.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we are hoping, I think, to get out with a net at the end of May to try to because the biggest thing is like making sure that we see what juvenile fish are there. And it's like we're trying to pull seine, but really like a minnow trap might be better. We're not totally sure. So we're trying to get out the end of May. The other thing to note is that you won't see me because I will be taking parental leave here in about a week and a half. So it'll be the rest of my team will be out there. But yeah, we're hoping to get out as soon as we can.
Nice. Okay, great. Anyone on council have any additional questions for Lauren?
I have a question on the Fish Creek Dam. If we was to leave the dam as it is there an option of a fish ladder in there rather than removing the dam? And is that not possible?
Yeah, we are peripherally involved in that. I know that I'll just say this: I am not an expert in like fish ladders or dams or anything like that. But yeah, I don't really know, and I'm not really sure where in the proposal process the Fish Creek Dam removal is, or even really the timeline. I know that it's something that's been. I know that the city, I think is that the lead on the proposal. It
Mr.
seemed like
Mayor,
that
would
was,
you like, sorry,
yeah,
would you like me to follow up?
sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we Trout Unlimited received a $240,000 grant award to do an initial assessment of the Fish Creek Dam, and they're going to take a two-prong approach. And the first part is to evaluate the usefulness of that area for a secondary water source. And if so, then if there are alternatives that would be better, or just what that overall approach looks like, whether or not it can be used. So assessing first the usability, and second alternatives, and then from there they will build off of that.
Hmm.
Did we lose you, Heidi?
Yeah, well, I think they froze. Heidi, can you hear us? Yep, they are frozen in time.
Bummer.
Let me text.
But
We haven't had that
again,
happen in a while.
I'm sorry, are you guys getting disconnected there?
No, you guys froze on us.
Oh, okay. Did you miss any of that?
We did just that last probably that last 30 to 45 seconds.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I'll go back just a little bit. So RFP should be going out in a couple of weeks. I think I'll double check on that. We had a meeting a couple of weeks ago. And the focus again is the assessment of the Fish Creek and the Fish Creek Dam for future use as a secondary water source. And then also looking at some potential alternatives, whether that is or isn't a source. for us. And then based on that determination, can be a design and engineering for the removal of the dam. But we're not stating at this point that we are or not removing it. We're going to do the initial assessment to evaluate if that's the direction that we should go. We anticipate that there may be a recommendation to remove it because we had ADF&G on the call. We have history with ADF&G, with DEC, and in our books right now about how that source is not the best source, or it may not even be viable. But we're going to do the groundwork to make that determination first, and then based on those that feedback, the project will or will not pursue from there. We also utilized that $240,000 project through Trout Unlimited for a grant application for the bigger removal of the dam, if that's the direction that we go and we receive those funds. So it's in the process, but it's not a guarantee. Does that make sense?
My question is,
Uh-huh.
is backing up water creating a reservoir in there? Does that create a habitat for fish, or is it the dam being removed a better habitat? And this is my,
Yeah, through the mayor,
no.
we don't know. So that,
but when it comes to sockeye, that they're typically spawning that into a lake system, into still water rather than run. And so I don't know if, I wish somebody could give me that answer, because question, because backing the water up and creating another habitat
Right.
there would
so
seem logical.
through the mayor, the history of that dam is that it was closed for almost a decade, and it
You froze again.
Yeah, we haven't had this happen in a long time.
No. Let me text Liz. You froze again.
I think that makes us, for once,
Yeah.
not the problem children.
Yes.
requests for the city to open the facility, and they did not. The city held strong that in the end, when they even received back from DEC that they could not use that source as a secondary water source because of the condition of the water. Then the argument was that they wanted to hold that hold that dam closed still as a secondary fire source, and to have a water source for fire catchment. And they received response back again that was not an applicable use for the dam, because we only have temporary water rights for certain months of the year, and that the city needed to open it. So the city opened it, and I think that was 2002, and it has not been closed since. But there's a lot of history that points to that source maybe not being viable in the future. We don't know. And with the partnership with Miss Sutton and KB NER, we're hoping to learn a lot more about the fish habitat there.
Is
Well,
Seldovia River even an option for a habitat, or to do anything with it?
Through the mayor, I'm not sure.
And it
Yeah.
looks great to me, but
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a little more information as you guys get into
logistically, it's not suited in the right place for the community, but
Yeah, it seems like we have a pretty cool opportunity to provide kind of what information would be helpful for that. Like Heidi said, whatever moves forward. I didn't mean to open a can of worms either, just to say that we are open to shifting our experimental design to be helpful for those in the community. I guess that's the thing that especially it just feels like the timing is great, because we can use this as our pilot year, but still collect a bunch of data that hopefully will be helpful to make decisions.
Good, fantastic. Any more questions for Lauren? Good. Well, thanks for Harmony. Did you have something?
I was just going to say thank you, Lauren, for coming, sharing your guys' exciting new adventure with us. Can't wait to see the data.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Harmony.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Appreciate that. And yeah, as Harmony said there, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what transpires here over the next couple years, and love to see what comes out of this. And yeah, I'm an advocate for getting some coho in there. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Salmon that actually bites. So, all
Good
right,
job.
sounds good. Appreciate everything, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you guys out there. Then maybe seeing a few updates along the way.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening. All right. Let's see. That was the only one we had signed up for public presentation tonight, Liz.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
All right, that'll take us down to item H. This will be public presentation for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up or in the room? I don't see anybody in the room, but
Nope, and we do not have any hands raised or anyone signed up online.
okay, sounds good. Item I, committee and advisory board reports. I see nothing on the agenda for that. That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, that'll take us down to our administrative reports. The first one tonight is going to be the finance report. This will be your quarterly finance report. And I do not have page numbers on mine because I pull my packet offline. So if you can help me out with the page numbers there.
So this is going to be in your laydown on page 3.
Okay. Obviously, we're getting to the end of the fiscal year here, getting close. Everything looks like it's up in the high percentages where it should be.
We're having a moment here trying to get Jan able to speak.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if Jan was going to be on. Yeah, it's weird. You guys froze up completely twice there, and yeah, we haven't had that happen in a long time.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you guys were freezing on our end as well, which is why the video stopped for council chambers a couple times, and that made it better. I think just with the presentation, it was really dragging our bandwidth, but Jan is not able to talk at this point because of her software, so she's trying a quick update. Do you want to move on to our and I'm not seeing Layla on, but we do have Public Works here, so maybe we could go out of order real quick.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
let Miss
fine.
Amanda present, that way she can get on with her evening.
Yep, no, that's fine, totally.
Okay. Well, spring is sprung, kind of, I suppose.
And this is going to be on page 7 of your laydown.
We are just been busy getting everything ready for spring and summer, and I got the sander out today, or I mean the street sweeper out today, which everybody will be happy about. Be waiting till tomorrow morning though to get down Main Street, of course, or there's nobody out there. Seems to do a pretty good job. It's gonna be a lot of dumping of the hopper though, which will be, well, I mean, kind of a pain, but it seems to work really well, so that'll be good. Yeah, we're just putting up signs, getting everything ready for summer. Can answer any questions that anyone may have.
Amanda, do we have a street sweeper now? Do we have one or we do have?
This I was just talking about how I got the street
Yeah, I
sweeper
didn't,
out.
because before the state was coming over
Yeah.
and I thought we had acquisition our own.
Yep, I just got it out today,
Yeah,
tested her out, and we'll be street sweeping more tomorrow.
I see somebody's cleaning the gutters out, so the along the side.
That's the one problem with the streets, our sweeper is that it doesn't get the gutters, so Johnny was out with a shovel in the gutters. Driving along, trying to get in them as good as I can, but it'll take a little bit to. Yeah, get it all. Smoothed out, however, it's gonna work best, but.
What's the guess on when the water's gonna thaw out?
At the city office? Or where?
Overall in town there.
Well, I don't know, half of it's thawed. My septic's still frozen, so I can go with that one. That's not too fun.
Yeah, any additional questions for Amanda? Looks like we're doing what we do in the springtime, so perfect.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thanks, Amanda. All right, which one do we want to do next? You
Jan, it's not letting her speak unless she promotes to panelists, and I don't think that's working either. It sounds like we keep getting a warning that she's got an older Zoom platform. So,
okay.
if you guys want to look at it and you have any questions, then we can follow up with her, and move forward from there. I'm sorry, it's just for some reason her Zoom is not compatible with our Zoom, which is very strange. But I did ask her if she had any concerns this morning after she made it available for the packet, and she said, nope, everything seems to be going the way we anticipated. We knew that Harbor was going to be a little bit less this year, and it is, but it's still in a healthy position, and the FY25 audit is ongoing.
Okay, yeah, nothing looks too out of whack here. Looks like everything's tracking as we would expect for this late in the year. So about a month and a half left of our annual budget, and then we start over. Anyone have any questions on the finance report?
No,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
all right, we'll go down to, what do we got? The water treatment plant. That was kind of part of the public works there.
And I will note that they have seen an increased spike in water usage. There have been several leaks that have been identified, and one big one over on D Street recently that was turned off, and we're expecting more as the system continues to unthaw. We also have the raw water transmission line project happening right now. So we are on a bypass. We're not on our main transmission line as they remove the current line and place the new line in the new location. And with that, we anticipate that to be about 2 weeks. And they started last Thursday. And so we're just being cautious on our end that we don't overtax our system. While we can bring in enough water, we bring in as much water as we can make or are making. It's a little bit more precarious not being on our full system, our full transmission line. So we are delaying turning on the harbor water for that reason. And just, having caution with the water usage that we have at the city. Not that we use a lot, but we do use some. So with that, it's what we're just like watching every day our water usage versus how much we make, and then trying to ensure that we stay in a healthy place. Our tank is full. We're doing all right now, but we want to ensure that we don't have any crisis or emergencies happen during this
Heidi,
time.
what size line are they using for the bypass line?
It's a 2-inch, so it's
Oh, it is
small.
only a 2-inch. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But it is meeting our needs, and so we're just paying careful attention.
Okay, yeah, obviously during the night, it's probably processing obviously 24 hours. So hopefully things are staying fairly topped off on the tank and on the storage tank.
Yeah, he did do a backwash today or yesterday. Today, no, it's today. And I haven't followed up to see how that went, because we knew that we were gonna have to do that, but I haven't heard anything negative, so I'm gonna follow up with him first thing in the morning and make sure that we're back online and making water again, and we can continue to push through. And East Road Services is aware of our situation. We're in daily communication with them. I'm receiving daily reports. Kuna, the engineering and design firm, will be here on Thursday. We'll be meeting with them on Wednesday again just to check in. So it's been a pretty great experience with them so far. We're have very open communication as we move through this process.
Okay, great. Great. All right. Thanks for the update on that. Do we have the VPSO report in here?
Yes, that's page 170 of your packet. They are not here this evening, but the report is. And if you stated before, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to follow up with those.
Okay.
It's the very last page of your regular
Yeah,
packet.
I got it here.
Last page on.
The regular packet.
Any updates on Heidi on any candidates? For the position?
Nothing formal yet. There's been some interest. So it sounds like maybe some interest in the community, out of the community, already within the program, out of the state. So I think they're still just making a determination of if in any direction that they want to move forward with an interview, but
Okay.
nothing official yet.
Okay.
I
So-
should point out that in speaking with Councilmember Taylor, she mentioned being interested in that interview process. We don't have an official council champion for this process like we did before. But if that's okay with the council, I'd be happy to invite Councilmember Taylor in for the interviews.
Can I ask a question on, now that we brought up out on McDonald Spit, Christie had to have Dewey come out there and get a guy to leave. I didn't know this. He wouldn't show Dewey his driver's license or any form of ID. And I guess it's a state law that you don't have to present any ID. That just seems odd to me, that you don't have to identify yourself to a law enforcement officer.
I'm not sure of that detail, but I can follow up with it.
I mean, to me, if a law enforcement officer asks you for ID, I would think you'd, because how do you know he's not a wanted criminal if he doesn't, and he's.
Yeah. That's the great thing about contracting with APIA is that they are going to use their regulations and follow they have a lot of state support through the VPSO program and the Alaska State Troopers. So leaning on them to provide that support. Because we're not law enforcement. I'm not
No,
law
yeah,
enforcement,
yeah,
and
but-
I don't have that answer. But I can look into it for you.
I just found it awful odd.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have that detail, but I can look into it.
All right. Any more comments, questions on any of the administrative reports tonight? All right. That'll conclude item J. We'll move on to item K, public hearings, none. Item L, unfinished business, none. Item M, new business, none. Item N, city manager's report. This will be on the laydown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We already covered some of this, but I'll give you some overall updates since you haven't had a regular meeting since the beginning of April. So there's been quite a bit of movement since then. First, starting off with the Jackloff Bay Dock project, that contract was fully executed. So we officially have a grant agreement with MARAD, and we're working towards reimbursement, which is fantastic. The RFP that was issued has been extended to May 22nd for a request from a firm, a potential firm that will bid on it. And we held a pre-bid meeting. We've also had multiple addendums that have gone out, including one today addressing questions received. That question period is now closed, so there should not be, we're not anticipating any future addendas. And looking forward to seeing what proposals we receive in the future. With the Jackloff Uplands application, and I should probably change that title to Jackloff Uplands Lease or entry authorization, since that's where we're at, or beyond application. We are still waiting to hear back from DNR on the survey instructions. I followed up with them last week and I didn't have a response, so I'll follow up again. But in the meantime, we are wanting to move forward with plans to remove some of those abandoned vehicles. I did a deep dive into our code just to ensure what the process was. It does look like I can make the determination that they are a public nuisance based on the status of those vehicles. There's about 7 of them right now, including the trailer, and then issue an enforcement order that we would post publicly and on the vehicles because we don't have a way of knowing who owns them at this time. They don't have any identifying marks. A few had a VIN number, and we're just making sure that we can't locate them through the owners through that VIN number. And if so, we'll go ahead and move forward with the enforcement order, giving 72 hours for those vehicles to be removed. And if not, then they will be removed by the city and disposed of. So hoping to do that in the next couple of weeks, maybe after Memorial weekend, once we follow up with that VIN number process. I'll let you guys know as we know more. That'll be exciting. Maybe we'll have to have a little open house or party or something. I don't know. But we're moving forward. Raw water transmission line project, as I've mentioned earlier, has begun. And if you have any questions about that, please let us know. But so far it's going really well. Fuel facility improvements project contract was fully executed with Kuna, and they came down and did an initial inspection. BCI, who is the subcontractor for the project, came over. I think they were a little bit more surprised than we anticipated with the overall condition of the building. So they asked to increase their scope of work to do a more completed structural assessment of the full building. We did complete that contract amendment, and they are doing that work as we speak with a 3-week deadline. And when that turns around, it should include their recommendation, and if there are different alternatives that we can explore. We kind of talked about it while they were here. BSI had some great alternatives. Just looking overall, making sure that it's a complete project and that the building is structurally sound. So not the best news, but also really looking forward to having the best overall product come out of this project. With Main Street Seldovia stormwater infrastructure improvements, we talked about how that scope of work is changing a little bit to focus more on the Gateway Pavilion. I did submit draft amendments to Aqua for that project, and they said it looks great. I just need to send in a fully, like a, without the lines, like a fully amended document, without any of the red lines or any of the edits shown, and then they'll hopefully be able to execute that and we'll move forward. Senior meals program, if you go to number 9 is the next kind of change there, and just update that we did send the dishwasher out. We had a local electrician look at it, and it needed more work than what we could do here. So it was sent to Anchorage to be worked on. It was worth that for the price. When we were looking at pricing out a new one versus repairing this one, probably wouldn't want to do it again, but certainly this time, having it repaired because it's fairly new. And then we'll look at maybe in the future considering some additional funds for more circuits here at the building. Because it sounds like the extra tranche of money that we received this year for senior meals that we thought was going to be a 1-year increase is going to move forward into the next 2 years. So that's great. So there will be a little bit more money for senior meals, and we made sure to increase to have that wage increase included in the budget as well for the staff. Number 12, VSW project water and sewer system evaluation. I received an email today that the 65% per draft is nearly complete. There was a few questions that I responded to. And we're also hoping to utilize this preliminary engineering report or at least the dam portion of the preliminary engineering report for our brick application for the dam refurbishment project. And that I'll just skip ahead to that part real quick. It's a little bit later. It's on the next page of this packet. I had a great meeting today with the Department of DHSEM. I can never do the acronym. About the brick application, and started not so sure if we were actually going to be able to move forward with the project, but ended very positive. We've got a really good feeling about this project. If we can button it up, there was some last minute requests. We do have to do a BCA, which we're looking at a firm through AML to help support that, and just making sure that we have some letters of support from like the dam safety program, DOT, just showing the relevance of this project and the support for the project in the area. But this would be really neat if we could get that dam project funded. So looking forward to working through that process with AML, met with them as well, followed up and sent an email to CRW with our requests for utilizing those figures for this application. And thankfully the application was due Friday, but after speaking with the grant program, they said it sounds great. They're going to extend our application deadline so that we have the full application period to work on it and can submit a really amazing proposal. So I think everybody had a lot of positive feelings all the way around about where this is going. So fingers crossed. I am also very excited to say, as you heard Liz's beeper go off earlier, pager, beeper, how old am I?
Froze.
Glitched.
Froze again.
Must not like that comment.
No.
Plant. We're also going to do some additional connectivity for the fire hall, coordinate the transfer of the phone services with ACS, and they'll install that Webcoast camera. We do have funds available in the WTP, Fire, EMS, and Council for completing this project. It's a lot smaller scope than the initial project that they worked on, and we will be billing Webcoast for their portion of that project. So that's funded through that program. We talked about Trout Unlimited, that RFP is going out here soon, and that they're going to be focusing on that viability of that area as a secondary water source, and then potentially based on what they receive from that, design and engineering for removing the infrastructure. Replacement backhoe. We did get a follow-up from AML, and I requested a new quote, which of course was a little bit more than it was previously, and a little bit more than what we requested. So we'll work through that discrepancy. AML also decreased the funds available slightly with the way that they are considering appropriating funds across the communities that requested funds. Everybody had their individual application with what they needed, and it sounds like AML is considering just doing a blanket. This is how many communities divide how much funds, and every community gets that portion of funds. It's not that much of a difference. It's like 12,000, but it is a difference. So we're going to have to look at what that looks like. Dam improvement project is, we've already kind of touched on that. So if you have any questions, let me know. And then historic boardwalk improvement, the safety, or I should say, so historic boardwalk improvements and Safe Streets Action Plan. That's a mouthful. Application is being worked on. That's due by May 26th. That's for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. Both this one and the dam do have a 20% match, which is a little bit intimidating because we don't have those funds available right now. There are potential funders that can help with either. We've talked with Rasmussen before in regards to the historic boardwalk improvements, and they were interested, but not interested in doing a full project. So they're a potential funder. Denali Commission has some potential non-federal match funding sources for either project. I am looking to present a resolution at the next meeting that commits a match fund to each of these projects, knowing that we need to do the back work and actually find those funds. If you guys are comfortable with that, they're both about $500,000 is what the match is, which we just don't have, right? But looking at how we can either find that or piece that together, and so that we can at least apply and see what comes of either project, especially the dam. I think that is becoming a more and more pressing priority. And actually the historic boardwalk is too. Like both projects really are front and center in my mind. I don't know about your guys's, but they are in mine. A couple more updates. Spring project and cleanup week is happening. As Amanda said, they will be street sweeping tomorrow. We're going to do a garbage cleanup day on Wednesday in the afternoon. We'll have our yellow bags out and people can grab them from the harbor office, walk around the community, pick up trash and leave your bag when it's full on the side of the road, or bring it back to the harbor pavilion, where at the end of the day, we'll have a barbecue for those who participated. Also, Seldovia Fuel and Lube reached out and would like to offer a free drip coffee or hot chocolate for anybody who participates. So I think if you show up with your yellow bag and show that you're working, you can have a hot beverage to keep you warm during that activity. And we're excited to see everybody out and about. So show up 1 p.m. at the harbor office. We said 1 p.m. or 2 p.m.
1 p.m. to 4.
1 p.m. at the harbor office, and bags will be available at any time really in that 1 to 4 period. You can come get a bag and do your part.
And the bags are available now, I believe, if people wanted to get an early start as well.
Okay. Fantastic. Dock Street water main break. I don't know if you guys caught that we had the water main break a couple weeks ago. We did repair it last week, but we are also looking at the fact that the ground is open and we will have to, it's a state road, we will have to pay to have that paved. And so do we want to just open it up the rest of the way and do a full repair, since this is the second break in a year and a half? and it's a known issue. It's actually in that preliminary engineering report that we're doing with VSW. So I did mention that to them as well, like, hey, we'd like to see that.
Rosen again.
Yeah, text Liz.
Oh, fun.
There we go.
There we go.
Are we back?
We're back.
You're back.
We camera off. I'm sorry, I don't like to do that, but I think we just have to have it off for the rest of the meeting if that helps.
Or I can turn mine off if you guys want to keep yours on, whatever you want to
Yeah, let's try that maybe.
do. Okay.
I don't know where I left off, but you guys can see the packet.
Yeah,
had
we're following.
Okay, we had a crane inspection on Thursday. We did get a report back with a few improvements that need to happen. So we're looking towards potential contact in Homer to complete those repairs. Water treatment plant has all kinds of things happening, including leak detection with Jordan Cameron with Alaska Rural Water Association last week. Todd Cook will be here next week. He was going to come over and do a fire hydrant flush with our crew. We are not doing that next week due to the raw water transmission line project. However, he does have a representative from Core in Maine that he thinks will be here, and he'll bring over, and we'll do some fire hydrant rebuild training and start with the initial installation of some of those water meters for the water meter pilot program. So that's super
Excuse me,
exciting.
Heidi.
Yes.
I wanted to, we missed the last part of the main water issue, and I had question about that.
Sure.
You had mentioned, you guys keep fixing it. It's broke, what, 3 times? So the idea was to, because it's costing us anyway, just open it up and fix it rather than keep band-aiding. What was the cost going to be for that? Do you know?
I don't know yet, which is why we're still
Okay.
assessing. I'm
Yeah.
looking at CRW for their preliminary assessment on it, as well as looking at what materials we have. Public Works is putting together a material list, and then we'll do a cost estimate. So I do not have that analysis yet,
Okay.
but we are working towards it.
Okay, because I feel like we should just fix it. We're gonna have to pay for repavement anyway.
I agree with Councilmember Jackie. I think that makes the most sense for all those reasons. I agree.
But I just wanted to touch
but
on
we'll
that,
see what
yeah.
happens with the cost.
I just wanted to touch on that because I know we discussed it in your office, when you were catching me up, and I didn't hear the end because you guys froze, so I just wanted to make sure I'm caught up. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Taylor, and I'll let you know as we get those figures, because of course it will probably require an appropriation, and that's not something we would move forward without that approval from the city council. But it is something that we are considering, and really it is that repavement. It's very expensive to get a paving crew over here. There is a project that's slated to happen through ACS here before July 1 and will require pavement on the state highway. So if there's a way that we can complete this project and piggyback and make sure that we're saving costs on having somebody come over and pave the street, would be huge. Not saying that's the way it's going to work out, but we're hoping we can line that up if there are
We can always
funds.
hope.
Yeah, if there are funds, depending on costs,
Yeah.
let's take advantage, but we'll see and let you guys know as we know more.
Hey, Heidi,
All
quick
right,
question.
Thank you.
That line was a last time it broke, wasn't it like a long split in a piece of ductile along
Yes,
the main? What was it this time?
same.
Same?
Mm-hmm.
So has the ductile reached the end of its service life? I mean, when they pull that out, does it have the lining inside of that, or is it all nasty and pitted, or what's going on with the condition of the pipe?
I think it's because it's freezing. regularly, it's splitting, it's expanding and splitting. And if you could, it's pretty weak. When I didn't look at this one when they pulled it out, I just heard about it, but I looked at the one they did last year and it was pretty thin. It was pretty weak. So I'm imagining that this pipe is probably similar.
Okay, yeah, I'd be curious to see that. I mean, ductile is pretty thick stuff, so, but yeah, obviously if it's freezing, that's not good. Okay,
No, and it's in that bedrock and it's not very deep, so that's part of it. I don't know if we'll be able to get any deeper, but if we can switch to HDPE and insulate, that may alleviate some of that issue that's ongoing.
yeah,
So that's what we're looking at. It'd be
okay.
great if we could go deeper. We'll have to look. Okay, talked about crane inspection, heavy equipment complex. I'm really excited to say that Senator Murkowski did submit that project to the Appropriations Committee for consideration. That doesn't mean it's a done deal. They can kick it out at any time, but it is a positive step forward. That if it, passes the Appropriations Committee and ends up in the appropriation bill and that passes, that potentially there could be some funding for that project. But as we saw with the raw water transmission line project and appropriation, these things take years. I'll let you know as we know more if it passes through that committee. We did also receive our dam certificate of approval to operate. And that just happened last week, which is great because we're going to reach back out to them and ask for that letter of support for the brick application. We also received our sanitary survey and it did have 3 findings. They're not currently deemed significant deficiencies, but like, hey, you should work on these moving forward. And we've completed 1. We're working on the 2nd and we'll continue to think through the 3rd. But that first being the backflow prevention assemblies are not being tested annually. We had it done last week when R was here. That's great. And the second being no alternate source of water if the system's primary source is contaminated or shut down. So that being included in that design and engineering project for Fish Creek is significant. And that third being that we are supposed to be cleaning our water storage tank every 3 years. And we're not. This is not uncommon. This is happening across the state because to clean a water storage tank is a pretty significant deal. So especially if you don't have a secondary water source to shut it down and be able to do a full clean. So looking at some alternatives there. It looks like I was started to put a broadband update in here and I did not. We did hear good news that it sounds like middle mile connection is coming to the community in 2028. They'll be doing the assessment and the design and figuring out where they're going to put it into the community in 2027. And
Oh,
are you guys back?
yeah, we got you now.
Did you hear my broadband update?
That they were gonna bring it into the community in 2027, and that's where we lost it.
Assessment 2027, bringing the fiber into the community in 2028, but it's not going to build out across the community. So it'll be here and it'll increase our wireless connectivity and will provide opportunities for future fiber into businesses and houses, but not a full connectivity to every building. But it is the start because it is a fiber line coming into Seldovia. We did send the attached letter of support for the Kenai Municipal Airport Direct Service Project. And a quick pool update. I did work with Seldovia Recreational Service Area Board Chair, Liz Diamond, and the pool manager to draft a pool contract between CIRSA and KPBSD for the continued operations of the pool, utilizing community funding. And that was formalized with in conversation with the borough mayor, who is who's being very supportive of these efforts. So we drafted a pool contract. We sent it to his office. I received feedback today of a couple minor edits that they wanted us to include, and we'll make those, send it back. They're scheduling a meeting between KPB, KPBSD, and SURSA, and we'll have those negotiations ongoing. For myself, I just want to let you guys know, I know it's been a lot lately, but this is the last one for a while. I do intend on taking personal leave next week. If you are not aware, my son is graduating on Tuesday. So I plan on taking that day off, and then we are going to go to the Valley afterwards and visit family. We have a nephew also graduating, and so we're going to celebrate both boys and lift them up as they move on to the next steps of their lives. And then I'll be back that Sunday Memorial Weekend and here for the rest of the summer until I take them to college. And I think you've seen everything else. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Just a comment. Congratulations, Heidi. 1 down, 2 to go.
Oh, it's happening fast now.
I know it does. After that first one, it goes fast.
Open for questions?
Yep. Hang on 1 second
Um,
here. Let me stand by 1 second here. Yeah, if you got any questions, go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
I just want to make this comment on the Jackaloff Bay dock. Since I've been on the council, we've talked about it. And between taking on liability from an environmental standpoint to demolition of the old dock, new docks, I've went along with it, but I think it's bad business for the city of Seldovia. There's other real estate, whether it's through mental health up there, the state or private, that could be purchased. I've looked at it. It's way better access. And if that is the only option we have, then that's where we got to be at possibly. But logistically and environmentally, for us to take on that burden, and I don't know if we're any closer to getting the dock than we was here 6 months ago. I know that I listen to all this, but I would sure hate to think that we pull the trigger on this and we could have found another, because I've looked at some of the shorelines and that would lend itself to another mooring facility. And I don't know if that's been exhausted yet or if we've looked at that closely, but I'm not comfortable with this Jackaloff Bay project because I think it's logistically to go out there and police it and maintain it. I don't know where the gain is at, other than you're trying to make something that for the public to, I get that part of it, but at what price? I mean, you're talking how, logistics on going out there and maintaining it, insuring it, and the revenue that we're gonna, I understand the need of it, but I would hate to think that there was a place up the road a half mile or less that would have lent itself to putting in a new dock that we don't have to demo and take on the liability of environmental issues. And even when you get through, the access in there is not user friendly going down the hill there in the wintertime. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, I'll chime in. I think that ship has sailed personally. So, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but obviously we've been working on this for 3 or 4 years now, and to start over, I mean, we'd be probably looking at least another 5 years, just to get through and just to find property, do, any studies, environmental, all that stuff. It might be 10 years, I don't know. And then having to come up with the dollars too, to do something like that. Yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, we've had lots and lots of meetings and discussions about this. I mean, yeah, there's always concerns. obvious concerns about the environmental side of it. We've looked at that language in the permit. Yeah, some things there is gonna be a little bit of risk with this. There's no question about it, but I think the reward will outweigh that at when the project finally comes to fruition here and we're done and we're close. Obviously, hoping to have a dock in place here by I don't know if it's this winter, next spring, sometime around there, but as soon as we start getting some bids in, we can take a look at that and then start looking at, realistic schedules and stuff. So, yeah, it just kind of is what it is right now, where we're at in the process. And it's been a long process for sure. But yeah, I definitely understand your concerns with where we're at, Jack. All right, any more questions on the manager's report? All right, we'll go to item O, informational items not requiring action. City offices will be closed Monday, May 25th in observance of Memorial Day. As Heidi said, spring cleanup project week will be May 11th through 15th. Community cleanup day is Wednesday, May 13th from 1 to 4, and the e-waste barge is scheduled for May 12th.
And that was an error. We thought from information we received that it was 12th. They did the e-waste collection today, May 11th, and we're still
Okay.
waiting to hear when that barge will be. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. All right, item P, executive session, none. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Langbart.
No comment.
Okay, Coleman,
No items at this time.
Taylor,
None, thank you.
Peyton. Anything, Harmony?
Can't get my fingers to activate the screen. No, I'm good.
All right, sounds good. Barber.
No comment.
Okay, and Keithley.
No comment.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, thanks for everyone attending tonight. Yeah, lots of stuff obviously going to be coming up here in the next few meetings, get through the end of the year here with our getting our final budget adopted and then on to another year. And hopefully spring will spring here soon. So our next regular meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. And I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn with a second. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, thank you.
Okay, have a good night.